Greetings and welcome to PinballHelp. Mike here. Today I am working on a set of driver boards from a Bally 35 series solid-state pinball machine. In this case, one board is from a Bally Supersonic and the other one is from a Bally Spectrum. If you've watched some of the earlier videos, I had a problem with this Bally Supersonic where the game would just randomly reset. It would just like blip and restart in the middle of the game, sometimes when it was sitting idle, just randomly. So I traced the problem back to this capacitor right here, known as C23. In the stock machine, it's one of these big honking things here. This is a 11,000 microfarad, 20 volt DC capacitor, power smoothing thing. I've replaced it with a standard 15,000 microfarad 25 volt snap cap that you would normally have on hand for working on Bally Williams machines. And what I've done is it's just a little too small to fit into the holes here to snap in. So I mounted it exactly the way the original one was, like this, and put some cable ties in there like the original. So that's the way it's done. I also did this on this other board up top. I then threw the board in, verified, game works better than before, everything's a little bit snappier, no resets or anything like that. So now I'm going to do some additional modifications that are recommended to make the board more reliable. My general approach is take small steps at a time, make sure that we get everything working one by one. Don't do a whole bunch of changes, and then if it doesn't work, you've got to, reverse back out a whole bunch of different things you did to try to figure out which one of them wasn't working. So I swap out a component, throw it in the game, check to make sure it's okay. If so, move on, few more extra little enhancements. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make some modifications that Clay Harrell, aka the Pinball Ninja, recommends, who's one of the foremost experts on getting these games running really reliably. So he recommends a couple of modifications to overcome some slight design issues in these boards, mainly having to do with ground runs from one end of the board to the other. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Now on this board, there's some other modifications here that were here before I got this game. I have to assume this is a result of a trace that burned out or something. I'm not going to mess with any of this because we know the board's working. I just pulled it out of the machine. It's working fine. I've marked here the recommended places for some additional modifications by running some small jumper wires on the board to basically take some stress off of some of the connectors in other areas. First area is a small run from the negative band of capacitor C23 to this ground plane right below it. You see, I've taken a Sharpie and I've actually marked right there. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. So let's see, that's working. Focus. Might be a little far away, huh? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to pull out a little bit. So basically, I'm going to run a little wire from here to here. So that's going to be our first thing. Now what I've done is I've scraped off a little bit of the protective coating around this lead so that I've exposed some of the copper underneath it. And I put a little bit of flux on both of these ends, and I've cut a little tiny jumper. See? I like to run my jumper wires straight. It makes it a lot easier to solder them in. So I'll take a little bit of flux and put it on that little spot there to make the solder stick. Okay, so this will be the first run. So I will get my little jumper where I want it to be, about like that. Can you see that? Like you're going to respond back to me. You're watching this on YouTube or my website. Yeah, just yell loud enough. I'll hear, oh yeah, okay. So Okay. That's in there. And I'll take this one and I just bend it right around so it's like that. Let the thing heat up a little bit. Bing. So there's our first jumper. And we can do a continuity check. Like, this is not really a tough one to figure out, but so I probably could check the bottom lead. So I could check the negative here to the ground, and it's good. So that's one recommended thing. The other one, let me back the thing out a little bit so you can see, is up top here. We're going to tie the negative lead from this capacitor C26, which is up here, to this ground plane here. So I've drawn a line indicating where I'm going to go. I've cut out this little wire here like that. So then I will take this and I'll scratch a little bit away. Take some flux. Put a little flux on the ends of the wire. Okay. And that. Do this with make it visible on the camera. Okay. Now take the other end. Try to get it where I want so it'll sit like that naturally. Get some more. Done. Okay, so now we've got these two tied. This tied down here. We'll back this thing back. And the other mod is to tie test point 1 to test point 3. You can see I've done it on this board already, right here. There's some discussion about whether or not to do it on the front side or the back side. I think it's easier to do it on the back side, but if you do it on the front side, when you're looking at the board, you can see it was done, which could be important if you're looking at those two test points. So I am going to do it on the front side just like I did on this one. This is a little bit of a harder thing to do because those test points are pretty grungy, so I'm going to have to do a bit of work on them to get the wire to stick. So I'm going to take these little needle nose pliers and I'm going to scuff up the test point. And make sure that you do test point 1 and 3, not test point 5, which is above it, because that's a completely different set of voltage and would be a really bad thing to do. Okay. I will kind of sit it like that. And we're going to see if this is going to stick. This is a bit tricky. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Same thing now, test point 3. And what I'll do here is I'm leaving enough length on this thing so that I'll get here. Scuff this all up. I'll take the flux. Push that through. Take this. Twist it up. So it's like that. Okay. Let me check to make sure that you can see this. I'm working right here. Okay. Let's see. It's on there. Okay, so test point 1 and test point 3 are now tied. So these are the 3 modifications, and I mark on here that they've been intentionally done, tied those 2 together. That's the 5-volt line, and that's supposed to make the game a little bit more reliable, reduce some stress on some of the connectors and stuff like that. So there you have it. These are some modifications that are recommended to be done to this Bally solenoid driver board 2518-22. There's several different generations of this board with some slight variations, but they all kind of need little things tweaked like this. So there we have it. Replaced this cap and then made a couple of little jumpers. We're going to throw the game back in Supersonic and confirm that everything works fine and there's no problems. And then we'll take it from there. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Visit pinballhelp.com. Bye.